And we are live with Titanic, Honor and Glory. Sorry for the delay, YouTube was being YouTube. I had to turn it off and on several times, and now it's live. I can hear myself? Yes, I can. Everything's fine. The demo should be skip to the ship. Let's not skip to the ship. Let's start with the demo. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Kuma, you're brutal. It's 2 a.m. here. Oh, come on. Who needs sleep anyway? What's sleep? Oh, by the way, Ecto's in the background, so, like, hey.
First the train from London to Liverpool, then a short trip to the docks where I boarded the ferry to Dublin, then the long train ride through Ireland to Belfast. Not a bad ride, but excruciatingly long. Check in at the guest house in the town proper, quick supper, quick sleep, quick breakfast, and a hop on the local train here to the Harlingen shipyard. Fortunately, it was punctual. I was worried about being tardy for being 3 hours early. My darling Claire always said to me, "Robin, you better get out of the house right now and go be useful for someone." She always did lovingly encourage me to show up for work early and give my best effort.
2 hours early. Okay, then. I didn't know this game had like a story. I thought this was just exploring the Titanic, but apparently I am going through a storyline of some guy.
Titanic is likely no different from the Olympic. They're structurally
well, not really.
The
what
Olympic
it is
underwent
it's
these trials months ago, so this should be a simple repeat. I board, observe her during the sea trials.
How do I
vote
say
aye
it? Like,
or nay
one sec,
it's sort of a storyline.
One sec, Ecto. Listening.
Yeah.
Come on, Robin. You can't mess this one up, as Claire always told me.
Okay, now we're free to explore. Now you can talk, Ecto. Let's not talk over the guy giving us exposition of his life story and his wife, who he will probably never see again after he boards the ship.
I had better find
Actually,
my
he
way
didn't
aboard.
board the ship, though.
But I suppose there
What
isn't
he is
reason for
he's
too much
actually
haste. No one else has
one of
even
the
arrived yet, it
people.
seems. Plenty of time to
He's
explore.
one of the
if I
judges
may.
for the sea trials.
I'm a judge for the sea trial. Ship, you are unworthy. You sink too quickly.
Let's look at the positive. The weather broke, and now I've been given the
So,
opportunity
where
to
you are
board
right
the
now is it's
Titanic
April
and
1st,
try.
1912.
This gives me a bit of time. to
You're
really
in
admire the
Belfast,
beauty of the
Ireland,
ship
at the Harland
before
Wolff
I have to
shipyards.
scrutinize every last aspect
In
of her functionality.
here is where Titanic was built. If you actually look over to your left, you can actually see the gantry that it was built on. Yeah, right over there. And what you're walking across right now, this bridge is actually the dry dock.
So this is where the ship was given birth.
Well, that's where they did the work for the propellers and stuff like that. The main hull was actually built over there in that gantry. Because what it is, it's like a giant crane. In fact, I could show you a picture of what it would look like with the ship in there. Right now, there's nothing being built.
Wait, is that giant, like, metal structure at the back?
Yeah, that one that's like right next to well, just on the smokestack. Yeah, over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like something that could be useful. Huh. Okay, then.
Hold on. Let's see if I can't find it.
Oh, by the way, looking at pictures right now would be difficult because I would have to alt-tab out of the game and that might actually crash it.
Oh, alright.
It is a demo, and it doesn't have a windowed mode.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I'll show some pictures later on because there's some really neat shots of Titanic under construction, and it would be really neat if you could just dual monitor it, because then you can line up the shots perfectly. Because it's a perfect shot.
It doesn't have a windowed mode, I don't think. Does it? No, wait, windowed full screen, so it shouldn't crash. Hopefully not. Okay, you can send the photo if you want. Oh, the graphics settings are all high. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they automatically default to really high.
Yeah, that could crash something. Or you can send me the shot. Send it to me on PM. I can put it on screen.
Yeah, give me a second.
In the meantime, I'm gonna see what I can do in regards to this ship. Yeah, let's see. Can I climb with a rope? Apparently not.
No, you gotta go all the way around the gangway over there.
Wait, what do you mean? Like, oh, so I gotta go up these. Wait, where do I gotta go? Across the bridge, or what do I do?
Well, go back the way you came with the train. There should be a way.
Why is this guy so slow? Is he old?
No, I
Danger.
believe.
Beware of train.
Can you hit shift to go faster?
Oh, is this him going faster? He's still like going.
Well, it's more of a cinematic experience. I mean, I don't know how it'll. This is sort of just a basic jet demo of how maybe the character will control. It's in its very infancy. What the big thing that they're selling here is the ship. Not to mention some of the outside textures.
I love how we go through a wall in like a hole in the fence.
I'm quite surprised by the amount of confidence the industry is placing into this ship. She's not even certified yet, and her first ticketed voyage is just a week from now. No room for failure on these trials, I suppose.
Oh my
It's
god.
like getting dressed up for a date when you haven't even begun your courtship yet. How do you know if you'll be rejected or not? I learned that one the hard way.
Man, he's just jinxing this ship so much. Ooh, if games have taught me anything, there's an item in this shed. Wow!
Oh, in that shed, yes, there's a little Easter egg. I'm wondering if you can actually see it in there.
Booze?
It's off to the left.
Old Bushmills Irish whiskey, a blend of 100% Irish whiskey, 1784. Is that it?
No, that back up a little bit. You missed it.
Uh,
Just back up a teeny bit. Okay, look in the corner. Do you see the letters?
letters.
No, oh, just below the whiskey.
MB? MP?
Yeah, MP. That is actually a little just subtle reference to, there was this documentary that came out in like the early 2000s back when CGI was, or no, it was like late 90s when CGI hadn't quite been perfected yet, and it was a documentary that was talking about the Olympic Titanic switch theory. Like, I remember you've teased it every once in a while that you say it's like, oh, Titanic was sank as an insurance scam. Well, there's people who actually believe that it was actually switched with their sister ship, and Olympic sank, and Titanic lived on until 1935 when she was brought to the breakers.
Huh.
Belfast Lock is beautiful.
Yes,
With the hills
and
around
this
and the
documentary
morning fog.
had the
It
balls to
reminds
go
me
ahead
of what I
and be
always
like,
imagined
well, we
puget
went and
sounds would
explored
be
the
like.
wreck, and we actually
A man
peeled
sure can make a
away
living out
the
of Seattle.
letters, and underneath
If he
it
can hold off
revealed
the plague.
MP. It was really stupid, even though, because on the surface it seems like it's a legit, like it could work. But there's a few loopholes in there that just don't make it work. For one thing, the timing doesn't make any sense because there's only 2 times where Olympic and Titanic were together in this shipyard, and that's when I think I talked about the Hawk incident where Olympic's propellers basically just where Titanic's propellers propulsion actually caused the cruiser to literally just drive right into her, and so she was brought back here, and the theory goes that the keel was warped so bad that she was unoperational basically, except that falls apart when you realize that Olympic returned to service for about another 3 months until February, where she ended up breaking off a propeller blade, and then she came back. And this documentary says, oh, it'll only take like literally an entire weekend to switch out the ships, when in reality the interiors are vastly different.
Okay, onward to the ship.
Yes. The biggest giveaway is if you go ahead and look. If you look along that top deck, you can kind of see where that open bit is. That's the promenade deck. Yeah, where the windows are. You'll be able to see it when you get a little bit closer. But you notice how about halfway through it starts like it, where it's not open anymore and it turns into little windows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on Olympic, it was open all the way down. The reason that they changed it is because after a couple of voyages, they realized that having the promenade deck all the way open did not protect the passengers from the gales on the Atlantic Ocean in case there was bad weather. So they couldn't go out on the promenade deck and enjoy it when they were in the middle of high winds or something like that.
I see they're doing all
There's
they
a few
can to
other
extend my
changes.
travel time.
For
How do I
instance,
find my
staterooms were
monthly
actually
services?
added on B deck.
He's doing some narration. Are these coffins? Ah, they're small coffins. Okay, stop talking. Go on.
I never actually realized that. You can weave your way around and go up that rear gangway, but I'm not sure if it's blocked off or not. I don't know if you'll be able to get to the well deck. I can't remember.
Time to glitch the game.
I know in VR you can because there's a mod that basically allows you to teleport all around, so you can actually walk the boat deck and stuff because none of that's accessible to the...
So close to the aft gangway.
people with this demo, the non-VR demo.
Yay, I'm going on the Titanic. I hope nothing bad happens.
Don't worry, it won't happen for another 2 weeks. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, they boarded it off.
They couldn't simply
Yeah,
move
like I
the
said,
signs
this was
out
the
of
VR
way.
demo. You could just literally
This
just glitch
vessel
past
has
that and walk the
triple
well
screws.
deck.
Yes, I feel the same way right now too, thank you.
This vessel
So
has triple
those
screws.
signs.
Any workmen leaving the ship except by the proper gangway will be instantly dismissed. Notice this vessel has triple screws. Keep clear of blades.
The triple screw things, those actually go up there, and I want you to be extra mature for this term. That extra higher up deck on the towards the back, the stern is actually called. It's literally called the poop deck.
Wonder why.
Well, the reason why is because in French, stern is actually le poupe, the pupe,
Le poupe.
the poop
Le poupe. Le poupe
deck.
deck.
Well,
Le
up
poupe
there,
deck.
they actually showed them in the movie, I think, because the signs were supposed to go along the back side. There was 3 signs. There was one that went like center mass all the way at the back, and there was 2 signs that went where it curved in and started going, or where the railing started to come in. You can also read that one sign there. I think that says "Notice: third-class passengers aren't allowed past this point."
We don't even have second-class citizens. We have third-class.
Well, the decks were severely segregated. The forward well deck and the poop deck, that was all third class. In the stern and the bow, they had the forward well deck and the forecastle, or the forecastle, whatever you want to call it. I call it the forecastle. Then the next deck up was actually reserved for first class.
Oh, I love little Jamie. Hey, if Jack and Rose weren't making out, the guards would have seen the iceberg in time.
Yeah, I know. People always say that. It's just like, and people like literally. It's funny because there's people who honestly believe that they're real character, like they're real people, and that's the reason that it sank, not because that they hit the iceberg.
Well, in reality, they weren't kissing. She was kissing, but just not his lips. That would have distracted all the guards. Even the captain. He wasn't looking.
Well, those weren't guards, those are lookouts. They were basically just assigned up there. I mean, I discuss in nauseam how there are a lot of factors that, well, for one thing, they didn't have binoculars. That was somewhat a mishap on their part, that none of the officers gave them binoculars or anything like that. But it was also the wind was at their face, and it was freezing cold that night, which made it very hard to see out there to begin with.
This would have never happened to a Russian boat. The Russian boat would have been, fuck you, iceberg. No, wait, that's not a Russian
You
voice.
just can't beat that train carriage arrangement. It really stretched my cognitive abilities. People simply aren't stimulated enough these days. Claire tells me that every night.
Who the fuck is Claire? People aren't stimulated. Why is this guy making sex jokes about his wife? This is inappropriate.
I don't know.
I like how this British dude is like, I'm sophisticated, I don't make sex jokes, but I'm going to talk about having sex. But like, you know what I mean? I'm going to say it in a nice way, by using words like stimulation.
Since the aft gangway is blocked, I'll board here through the first one.
Well...
Like, just because you use different words doesn't make it any less inappropriate. It's like saying, hello madam, could you perform fellatio on me? Like, it's no different from asking for a blowjob. Like, it's the same shit. Alright, we're inside. Giggity, 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 giggity.
It's a slight delay. Okay, now you're inside.
Well, there will be a delay of a few seconds, but I mean, like, you know, bear with it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. So,
now you're just getting
the room
nitpicky.
That you're stepping into right now, well...
Oh, now they're playing this music. Welcome to Demo 3. Press I to toggle in.
First-class spaces should be accessible at the moment, but I may be able to venture down to third class for a spell through Scotland Road on E-Deck. I believe I'm boarding before anyone else. Robin, right
You could
now,
also toggle black and white mode, which is kind of interesting.
Here's the thing, right? I'm pressing T. Oh, wait. What? You know, some people probably believe that back in the day, people could only see black and white.
There probably is. Oh, by the way, if you want to go step towards that electrical box to your left...
Oh, I'm getting a bit of lag. Oh, shit. Let's lower the video from, like, all epic to maybe, like, high.
Should be good. Oh, I see somebody's talking about the coal fire theory. Coal fire contributed to the sinking of the Titanic. No.
Oh, I don't think it's the graphics card. I think it's the actual engine itself. Like, see how movement makes it difficult for the edges? I think it's like, that's the issue. It's not really the graphics card. It's the fact that we're moving.
Maybe it's the motion blur that's killing it.
Yeah, the motion blur is kind of causing it because it's like not always working.
Is there a way to disable it?
There should be, but then might not be here. The setting, field view, anti-analyzing, burst processing, motion blur 1. Maybe if I lower the intensity of the motion blur. Yeah, see, that's a lot better. Why did they put it so high? Yeah, see, it's like a lot more natural now. Why on earth did they put it so high though?
Well, if you want, I mean, while we figure this out, I could talk about the coal fire theory. I mean, Jay wants to know about it.
Let me just read this really quickly. If you enjoy this demo, please consider supporting. Through these doors, passengers from the tenders at Shipboard in Queenstown would board the Titanic. Others would disembark at these locations. The first-class Shipboard tender, Nomadic, is the last remaining ship built for the White Star Line and is currently preserved in Belfast. Hey, what's the Twitter of the people that produced this? I might as well tweet them that I'm playing.
Yeah, I mean, they're fairly accurate. I mean, like, they're fairly active for devs. I mean, they...
What's the Twitter?
It should be... be. I'm pretty sure it's just like Titanic HG.
Uh,
That's pretty much what all their socials are.
we'll leave it as is. Okay, so the tiles are not bad. It's very Masonic. I like it. Okay, the top's pretty nice. That's a lot of light. My god, the power bill would be fucking atrocious. Like, fucking forget about the power bill. Just fucking forget about that shit. Like, look at this.
Well, the power bill is the boilers are running right now. Not very many, because you don't need that many to keep the electricity going. I mean, it's not moving or anything.
Yeah, but like, look at this, man. Like, this little area here on its own has like 5 lights. Like, this little spot here. And this one here, I'll fucking forget about it.
And keep in mind, this is before fluorescence, so these are all incandescent bulbs, which means that it would be so hot in here.
Like this, like you'd be replacing these every week. What's this? First class elevator foyer. These are the elevators that leads to A, B, C, D, and E deck. Oh my god, I played enough bloody Zero Escape to know where this is going. Where's the number 9 door?
Well, what you're on right now is you're on D deck, which is clearly has been renovated because, as you can see, the grand staircase it goes all the way down.
Oh shit! All right, so you've got these. All right, that's very nice. Oh, very nice finish. Oh, very nice. Ooh, and the carpet. Yep.
Ooh, the candelabra. That's a nice little.
Oh wow, they got a nice little painting. French tapestry woven by Aubusson for the White Star Line, based on the Chasse des Gauze series. I'm gonna pretend I'm cultured and I know what that is.
Yes, there was a lot of. I mean, there was a lot of French wood carvers and painters and stuff like that who work on it, because they were sort of the pinnacle of luxury at that time. In fact, a lot of the rooms on Titanic, the staterooms, are actually very themed around Louis XIV, Louis XV, Louis XVI.
Wasn't that the guy that kept executing his wives because they wouldn't give him a son?
Don't think it was. I don't remember. Yeah.
Meal service in the first class dining salon was included in the price of the first class ticket. Sunday mornings, the room would be used for religious services. The saloon was being set for breakfast during the iceberg collision.
You actually can go into the saloon. You just have to go in the other door.
Oh, okay. Man, like they say you can't smoke in here until after lunch, and I'm like, smoking in this place with this carpet would be a travesty. This place would stink. Because all the carpet would absorb all the smoke. As would the ceiling, because look, they have a lot of wallpaper. This place would stink like smoke.
Oh, the Steinway piano. There was, I believe, 5 of them on Titanic in total.
Ooh. I especially commend them for modifying
that's sitting on the corner over there. There's actually a picture over there. Thing is, what they did was, for this demo, was they scattered a lot of pictures. Like, you'd have to go and dig and find them and whatnot, but they're pictures of the devs, the historians that are working with them, and whatnot. There's also this reference, because Robin always, the character you're playing as, he talks about Seattle a lot. There's actually 40 postcards of Seattle on the ship that you can find if you really want to try.
I'm good. I'm real good. Can I... Excusez-moi, senor.
No. Like, I mean, it's all pretty much the same. I mean, basically, if you went through that hallway over there, you would end up in the galley.
I see many of the tables are already set.
And then past that is the second-class dining saloon. I wish that they would show
along with
you could walk the whole dining room, but that was
on our way to Southampton.
There is going to be some restrictions.
Yeah, they like to do that, don't they? I can't go over there near the piano, can I? I think my character must be very fat not to be able to fit in. Damn, he had a little too much dessert. Oh, I'm thinking of Henry VIII. Oh,
Yeah.
fair enough. Wait, is that how you spell 8 with a V? No, wait, that's 13. No, wait, that's 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. But wouldn't you spell 8 as an X and 2 at the back? Or am I thinking the wrong way around?
I think you are. Yeah, I'm looking at Jamie's
don't you-
comment. I did actually mention the lights are basically everything from the heaters to the lights and stuff. They're basically run by the boilers down below deck. They're steam powered.
So can we find the deck where like everyone was knifed to death in Zero Escape? You remember what floor that was on? Because that was the grand
Probably
staircase.
C deck. Oh, go to the left, and there's gonna be a little thing right there in the corner.
Yeah?
Oh no. Go. Though you can go back. You can actually go down there.
I mean, I usually like to work my way up, sort of thing. Like, that way I cover all my bases.
Okay. Oh, we could just pat. Yeah. You can start from the because it gets. I think honestly, it gets a little bit better as you go up.
Dude, this place is chill as fuck. What's this? Weighing machine. Used by passengers to compare weights before and after a session in the bars to see if they were able to sweat off any weight. I'm sorry, ladies, but you were just dehydrated as fuck. I'm sorry, like, you drinking all that whiskey.
Arabian motif with cooling colors as passengers relax after their time.
Yeah, you
in the
actually
bath.
go and walk through
What a
that
poor state these
through
workers
that
left
door
in.
right over there, and you can get a hint of the electric baths.
Please contribute to us at www.titanic.com. I fucking love that. Look at that shit. That's just cool.
I mean, right now they're in the process of looking for an investor, but they're always willing to take contributions for now. They said that once they actually find, because what they're doing right now is they've got
that
some
lucky
leads,
dog
but
testing out the
until they
electric
secure an investor,
And I believe I see a
they
sliver of the
say
plunge bath as
even
well.
after they get the investor, it's still going to be about 2 years before the game's done. So it's 2+ years from now.
I reckon once they get the layout and the engine for this done, because they're using the Unreal 4 engine, they should actually use the layout for some games, not just the simulator, but actually use the layout of the Titanic for other things too. That would make more sense. Because it's such a waste to create a complete layout of a Titanic ship in HD and not use it for anything.
Well, they're going to recreate the main voyage and real-time syncing and all that stuff. There is going to be a story.
Yeah, that would make sense. But you could also do it for other stuff, like zombie mode. The story of what happened after the Titanic. Zombies.
I'd hate to be corded back
I mean,
here in
you
such
could-
a cramped cubby. The walls bearing
I
down
don't
on you like all the
think
troubles, hopes, and deepest
Matt or
desires you dare
even
not dwell
Tom
upon.
would be opposed to it.
See, that's how you could
They-
secretly teach all the 9-year-old kids what happened with the Titanic. You just replace the people with zombies. Meanwhile, they're actually going through
Oh
the
my-
story of the Titanic, and they don't even realize it. Eh?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
you could have literally the Call of Duty zombie map, except it's gonna actually be accurate.
Yeah, exactly. You've got like X amount of hours to get the hell out, and you gotta go through floor to floor. But instead of water, you're actually fighting against horde of zombies, and they have no idea that they're actually being taught history. They'll be like, and then the zombies burst in at the 43-minute mark, and then just replace the word zombie with water. Bam, you're done. Genius, huh?
Yeah. Where's that watertight door? I've just realized. Yeah, there should be a watertight door around there.
This is
And that was
glorious.
basically
You
the
can
watertight
near well
door
see
that
half the
prevented.
length
And
of
I
the
kid you
ship
not when I
is
say
whole.
this. About an hour or so into the sinking, literally every single forward compartment is flooded except for the swimming pool because the watertight door was closed.
So the swimming pool was actually the driest place on the ship.
Yes, it was.
That's just fucking beautiful. Ironically enough, the swimming pool was dry.
So right now what you're on Scotland Road.
Named after a
And-
street in Liverpool where many of the crew early White Star Line ships lived, Scotland Road is the main access passage for crew and third-class passengers. It ran the length of the ship along the port side, although what is featured here is only one section near the middle of the ship.
Yeah, it did run pretty much the entire length of the ship.
crew dormitory, ironically referred to as as glory holes by crewmen of the time due to their often terrible conditions on other ships. These rooms were full of bunks where most of the crew called home for the duration. Glory holes, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah, all the information in these text boxes is accurate.
So, poop, deck, and glory holes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the conditions on Titanic were unheard of compared to other ships. Essentially, first class was an entirely different level. If you were in second class, it was equivalent to first class on any other ship of the time, and third class was the equivalent of second class. There was no steerage on Titanic.
See, that doesn't sound too bad.
Open. Perhaps I'm not supposed to look in here, but I can't pass up this opportunity for a little adventure. Oh, if Claire were here now to see me being so daring.
See this guy? If Claire was here to see me be so daring, perhaps she would get moist.
Well, I suppose they're likely firing up the other.
You actually can't go up that ladder above. You can go there on the way out.
I love how I'm being like, he's such a naughty boy. He's sneaking into where he's not supposed to be. Damn, paint buckets, my one nemesis. I cannot get past these buckets.
Oh, there's the package.
A package.
That's the reference to Adventure Out of Time.
Nani?
There was a little package down there by the little wheel. That's actually one of the references, the Easter eggs they put into as a reference to Titanic Adventure Out of Time, which was the game that inspired them.
Oh.
To do this. It was probably one of the most. It is referred as the most definitive Titanic game of all time right now until Honor and Glory comes it out.
Are massive.
It was sort of like an alternate history like thing, like, whoa, what if we could go back and
beast.
I
anxiously await their
performance,
performance
for instance,
during the sea
you
trial
needed to get through the Rubaiyat, which was in fact, you can actually see it. It's in the coal bunker.
Just a tundra
right there.
Just freedom. How by Edward did I get myself here? Climbing too high, I think. No, Robin, it's not your time to get your angel wings just yet.
Yeah, and you can go up that ladder on your way out.
I love how this guy thinks he's going to heaven. Ah, the arrogance.
Yeah, and that leads out to the topmost deck of the ship.
And see, this is where you can make a final stand against the zombies.
This open space looks
you
like
can go down
there
in the end. That'll actually take you to the third class open space, but it's not accessible. You can see it though.
Perhaps a place on the west coast, like.
No, right here. That little roped off area and whatnot. Well, that's actually one of the hatches for the cargo hold, and that leads you down to F deck.
Oh, down here. I can't get past it. But I do hear someone playing with a ball. What is this guy? He climbs really quickly but walks really slow. He's obviously a lizard person.
Yep.
And there's the gate that basically locks you in and you drown. Because you're a third-rate citizen.
I hardly disagree with you that's one of the one scenes that bugs me about, well, just about every depiction of any adaptation of Titanic always depicts that, them keeping the third class passengers down below decks, locked up so they can't get out. I mean, there's no evidence for that. It's something that was sort of dramatized to sort of, I don't even know where it came from. There's really no evidence to support it.
Well, is this the third class area? The third class
dining, yes, you're on
deck. This room is where the third class passengers, primarily single men or men traveling in groups, would dine. As a safety precaution, single men were segregated from families, women, and children, and were quartered in the forward section of the ship. Is this implying what I think it's implying?
Yes, that was actually very common on steamships of the time.
Really?
Single men, because what happened was there was basically three ways that usually third class passengers would travel. They would either travel as single men who were traveling to America to make a fortune. And what would happen is then they would go ahead, instead of going back to pick them up, they would just, they'd send a message to their wife and their children. It's just like, get on this ship, we're gonna, it's like, come meet me in New York. So they would be traveling as women and children, and then you've got the families.
I mean, for like third class, this is not bad. Like, when people say third class, you're kind of expecting like you get a fork or a fork, whereas like this doesn't look that bad. Like,
because one thing that steamship companies at the time knew, that literally most of their money came from third class passengers, so they had to treat them like it'd be something that they've never experienced before. Oh, you might be able to get the picture of Kyle. Kyle's one of the modelers for the hull. He's actually down here. You may have already seen him.
Oh, I don't think I have.
I think he's actually back that way. If you can get back there. Where did he go?
This way to the third class pantry and gallery. I'll go this way.
Robin, now you're the second most handsome man on the Titanic.
Second most handsome man on the Titanic? What? Don't get it.
What did he say? I've got the volume really low because I don't want to hear myself
Now you're the
talk.
second most handsome man on the Titanic. Like, I have no idea. This guy's vain as fuck.
I wonder who he was talking about.
I don't know, but he's talking to himself. Like, it's not a good sign.
Yeah, he is down there, though. It might have been on the other side, but whatever. Let's just ignore it.
He's probably gonna give me some dialogue. Boiler room 1? Is that where we did the puzzle?
No, that's actually the opposite side of the ship. You're basically making your way further aft towards the stern.
Right.
Of course, it's blocked off, which actually makes sense because they're still fitting the ship out, even though the trials are tomorrow, and the maiden voyage is April 10th, and they still haven't really completed everything. That's how behind schedule they were.
They should have sent Darth Vader to get them on schedule.
Go back. I want to show you this thing before.
What?
Go back down the staircase and then hang an immediate left to that little cleft, and I want you to look up.
Hmm? What am I looking for?
I mean, look at the view. You can see all the way up to the glass dome, all the way on the top of the boat deck.
Not bad. Oh, there's
Alright,
like
that's
13.
all the seed.
Oh, I see. So postcards are like everywhere.
Yep.
Laura Marble Frankeli, Secretary of Lady Duff Gordon.
Oh, the Duff Gordons. They were a very rich couple that were on the Titanic.
Did they die?
No, they actually survived. They were actually accused of bribing crewmen to get a private lifeboat, which is not true at all. the story was actually stretched. They did not bribe them. They gave money to them out of generosity because the petty officer in the ship in the lifeboat made a comment that, well, now we're out of the job. We're not getting paid anymore. The ship went down. So they told the press that they were given money, and then that got swung around to, well, let's spin this so that way we shame them by saying, well, they bribed their way into a lifeboat, basically destroying their reputation.
So you're saying the media doesn't always say the truth? Oh my god, who would have thought?
The media is one of the main problems with why stuff is so inaccurate. That's not known Titanic nowadays.
Yeah, media's full of shit.
The lifts are out of order.
So, let's
That's
see,
fine.
you're on C
Real
deck
men
now.
don't take lifts. Lifts are for women, Claire says.
Wow.
Robin, take the long way up.
Guy's such a sexist. I find this guy offensive. Such a misogynist.
Well, that's his wife. His wife literally said lifts are for women.
His wife is a misogynist. I disapprove. What? Commodore of the Royal Canadian Yacht Club? Emerson
Oh yeah,
Perfume
Major
Salesman.
Arthur Pugin.
Oh wow, so you get to see the names of all the people where they were?
Yeah, notable passengers.
VP of Pennsylvania Railroad?
Oh yeah, Jack Thayer. He's actually, his son Jack Thayer. He actually.
There's a maid here. Apparently a maid is here too in first class. Oh wait, this is second
Yes.
class. Wait, isn't this second class?
No, this is first class cabins.
Oh right.
Yeah, it's all kinds of messed up, like how
Food containers, oh wow.
the layout's all kinds of messed up. I mean, basically, you had second class cabins on E deck and D deck and whatnot, and even C deck, and then you have first class cabins that go all the way down to C deck, and
Roman Artagavyata previously survived the sinking of the ship America. Spent 40 years recovering from the trauma. Titanic was the first ship that made him feel safe. Yeah, fuck that shit. He's cursed.
oh my god.
Your cabin in
I don't
Titanic,
even
Adventure
remember
Out
that.
of Time, Cyberfix 1996. I see.
Oh yeah, yep. That was the cabin that you had. What's the number on there?
I don't know if... Oh, C73. Countess of Rhodes, noted philanthropist and Glades Cherry. I have no idea what the last thing is.
I'm not sure about that one.
Director of theater and managers. Maids and valets saloon. First class patches as personal servants took their meals here. Wow, their servants actually came aboard? These people are spoiled like shit.
Well, yeah.
Wall Street stockbroker. He must have been corrupt as fuck. From an American novelist, pioneer, investigator, journalist, and editor, Elizabeth Schutz. Noted yachtsman and Langston Porter, Dr. William, to the ship's surgery, second class promenade.
Yeah, the hospital's just through that door, the second class promenade. That's the thing, if you don't know the layout of the ship, you can get lost very easily.
Oh yeah, I'm sort of keeping track of where I am. Internally. I mean.
It's actually, it's to sort of go against, the whole trapping the third class down. Probably what was more likely was the people didn't know the layout of the ship because it was the corridors just twisted and turned all around E deck that they got lost down there and couldn't find their way out.
Huh. What? Madame de Villas, alias of Le Bertha Main, Belgian singer, secretly engaged to passenger Quig Baxter. Well, you would have a surgeon on the ship. That's like a fancy word for saying he's a physician. It's like if someone gets sick or someone needs something, they basically go here. Doctor in field of chronic joint diseases. Of course they would. They were so fat that their joints suffered. It's the Douglas's Mrs. Carter, executive of Quaker Oats. Oh, wow.
You can actually look in some of these cabins.
You know what I find funny? Like, one of my RL friends went to like a political thing. They had like a yearly political party. And at this party, you had like all the political and politicians whatnot talking about how the opposing party will ruin everything if they win the next election, and how they've made this country fair and, you know, classes no longer exist. Meanwhile, the people serving them are basically foreign exchange students working as waiters and waitresses. Meanwhile, these are all fucking spoiled white rich kids saying this about how they're bridging inequality and shit. They're so far up their own asses. Sickens me. It makes me want to trap them on a ship and just see how many survive. Honeymooners. Oh, sorry to you, Victor and Maria Penasco. Maid to Mrs. Penasco. Really? Your maid's right fucking here? How spoiled are you?
Well, yeah.
That's so spoiled. Wait, these rooms aren't even that roomy. Are these beds? Jesus.
I mean, for first class accommodations, those are pretty good. I mean, they're not as spacious as the staterooms, but of course, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but weren't some of the passages like rich people? Wouldn't they get stuck in these hallways? Like, they were fat bastards. Did they like have butter around in case someone got stuck?
No, like, they weren't as fat as like Taft or anything like that.
K&M? Someone fucking carved that into the door?
Oh, Jesus, I can't even remember what that references. I literally have no clue.
Melvina, Cornell, Charlotte, Appleton, and Caroline Brown. 3 sisters traveling home from their 4th sister's funeral. Well, they're all about to get a funeral after this one. Made to Mrs. White. Nah, that's just racist. That's fucking racist. Ida, such as co-owner of Macy's Departments.
Oh, Isidore and Ida Strauss.
The Strauss sitting room, John Faber's servant. Jesus, so many servants, my god. Inquiry office. Here a passenger could purchase wireless telegrams, store valuables, purchase tickets for the Turkish bath and other shipboard activities, and request assistance for information. Notices. Please consider a contribution if you enjoy this early demo of Titanic. Titanic.com/contribute. I like how at the bottom, they basically just said, please donate, whereas here in the first class cabins, they like write it in cursive. Please consider a contribution if you enjoy this early demo. Whereas the bottom, it's like, give us money, cunt.
By the way, if you go back to the inquiry office, I call it the purser's office. If you go and walk towards that door on your left, and try and look through.
Yeah. What about it?
Not there.
Ah, fucking mother cunt! Fuck off!
That is the purser.
Fuck me! Fuck me!
Fuck
me! Fuck me! Someone timestamped that shit. Oh my god, 48 minutes. Fuck. Fuck. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yes, that is the purser from Titanic Adventure Out of Time.
I'm timestamping that. That's fucked. That's fucked. That is fucked. It was like, oh, what's in there? That's just perfect timing right there. Oh my god, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. Fucking hell, that's just, oh my god. I didn't know this was Five Nights at Freddy's. This is fucked. Oh god, I'm getting shivers, man. I had so much caffeine that
okay,
this
we're
is giving me
still
shit.
on Z deck.
Okay, we're up one floor now. We are on B deck. B deck boarding entrance. Alright, so this is where like all the B deck people boarded, fair enough.
Well, yes, this is where they actually boarded in Southampton. Because the gangways were actually able to go that far, that high up. Meanwhile, the tenders, they had to offload the passengers in the first class reception room on D deck.
Upon cabins, upon cabins.
See how it's
Yes.
like upon cabins.
Joseph Bruce Ismay, managing director of White Star Line.
He was essentially the president of White Star Line. A
Wife
lot of
of
people
Canadian
say
diamond broker and banker and her daughter. Oh, you mean those guys that steal diamonds from Africa from children and then control the supply to beef up the price? Did they die? Because if not, it's a shame.
Not sure. The Ismay's cabins in that's actually one of the two cabins in there's one on either side of B deck that have a private promenade. They have a sitting room. They have their own private bathroom, and I mean that's probably like the height of luxury. In fact, I believe in the movie, if I remember correctly, like Rose's cabin was either the one opposite Ismay's or it was up on A deck. I can't remember which one.
Mr. Quig Emmon Baxter helped organize the first hockey tournament in Paris, traveling home to Canada with a secret lubber, Berth Maine, hidden from his mother and sister. My god. Am I the only one that would, like, get a vial of T virus and stab one of the first class people and see how it spreads? Like, that would make a fun game. Why am I so evil? Wait a minute, that sounds like Zero Escape.
It does.
Now that I think about it. Son and daughter of the Ryersons. Agents Ryerson, daughter of Ryerson. Mrs. Arthur Ryerson into America due to the sad news of the death of the eldest son. Oh wow, death of a son. Miss Charlotte Waddle Kazda and Mrs. Anna Ward traveling with her maid, 14 streamers trunk, 4 suitcases and 3... Why is that relevant?
I don't know why they listed the baggage.
Like, was she carrying dead bodies or something?
I don't think so.
These stairs led up to the grand staircase landing of A deck and the boat deck, as well as lounge, riding, and gymnasium. Oh, I wonder if they have good shit. Let's contribute.
I shouldn't venture too far on deck. The board of trade.
Yeah, unfortunately, the farthest you can go on, at least on this side, is like up to the A deck landing, because that actually is the thumbnail. If you off to the right, that's where it was taken, because then you can see the centerpiece of the A deck landing, the grand staircase, honor and glory, crowning time and whatnot. And
do I have a console? I want to no-clip this shit.
no console demo, but like I said, if you ever get VR, you could always come back and do it. I mean, it's just a spectacular ship. I don't know why they walled it off. I think I know why, because I was actually reading... Yeah, I was actually reading in the book that I was reading. Apparently, there's some speculation whether or not the clock piece, the honor and glory crowning time, was actually ever finished on Titanic. Like, they were so rushed that they may not even put it in. So they're not 100% sure if it was in there or not, so they probably sealed it off so you couldn't look at it.
Motherfuckers.
Because Olympics still survived. There's still pictures of it. I mean, I assume there was something similar installed on Titanic, but We'll never know. The thing is, most of Olympic and Titanic's interiors are pretty much identical, except for a few things. I mean, like for instance, we know in the first class smoking room on Titanic, there was red and blue tiling, but for Olympic, we assume that the chairs on Titanic in the first class smoking room were actually changed. If you think about it, red and blue tiling and just like green leather chairs, the color would clash so horribly.
Love the wood detailing here. It's absolutely perplexing. Now that's a craft I can really respect. Lovely wood. I've always been fond of wood. When younger, I used to cut wood for the poor folks 2 streets over. My neighbors started calling me Robin Wood. They always laughed, but I don't know why. I wore that title proudly. It really does remind you of Paris, though accepting the smell of overflown sewage. Wonderful memories are coming back to me of that city.
Wood means erection. They were basically calling him Erection.
So you're in the Caf Parisienne. Well, now you're moving in the restaurant.
Tables already
Sorry,
set.
there's a bit of delay. It literally will not let me watch it live.
Oh well, top marks for presentation.
What? Unlike the first class dining saloon on D-Deck, dining in the restaurant is not included in the standard pass. For an added fee, passengers may order from a menu anytime between 8 a.m. Wow, so much for all-inclusive. Like a fucking DLC. You bought your Titanic ticket, now you gotta pay for food, you gotta pay for water, and you gotta pay for prostitute. Not included!
Well, this restaurant was basically for when you wanted to get something to eat or drink outside of normal dining times.
Yeah, but you gotta realize that all the passengers were fat. Of course they wanted to eat stuff, that's all they had.
Not really. I mean, that's the stereotype of the time, but they really weren't.
You know how when you wear a suit or you wear a blazer, you never do the bottom button up? Do you know why that is?
Why?
Because one of the royals was so fat he couldn't do the bottom button of his suit, so he made it a thing that you don't do the bottom button up.
Well, that's the royals. I mean, like, these are still businessmen in that. I mean, they still have to stay in shape. That's why there was a gymnasium included with the ticket.
Man, if I didn't have a gym on this sort of ship, there would be a freaking riot. Ooh, I could actually go in a room.
There was a few other cabins that you missed. This is the cabin of Francis Brown. Now, Francis Brown, I think I mentioned him before. He was a Jesuit priest in training at the time. He actually boarded at Southampton, and he got off at Queenstown because he was basically going to the college there to become a Jesuit priest. He was actually named Father Brown in 1915, I believe, and on the sink there, that is his camera, or at least a similar version of the camera that he used to take the only pictures of life on Titanic. They're the only pictures to survive.
So I guess the tuna was on his side.
And then on the opposite side, you have the chief architect, Thomas Andrews.
A retreat for men to smoke, drink, gamble, and talk business amidst an atmosphere of smoke and mahogany inlaid at the mother of the pearl. I can tell you for a fact that weren't talking about business, they were talking about prostitutes.
What a fine accommodation for the unwinding of the gentlemanly sort after a long day at sea. If only it were open now, and there were men in there to socialize with. Perhaps then I'd make some friends.
And it's the same on the other side. This is also, the smoking room was one of the last recorded places that, well, one of the last, we assume that Thomas Andrews here at the last, I mean, it's depicted in the 97 movie as well, that Thomas Andrews was basically turning the clock back as the ship was sinking when they were playing Near My God to Thee.
Why was he turning the clock back?
I have no idea. Well, actually, it was very common because ships, in order to shift, so that way you weren't shifting from from GMT time to Eastern Standard Time,
suppose
like
this won't
almost
be open
instantly.
anytime
What they did
soon.
was
A shame.
twice
I would enjoy
at night
nothing
they
more
actually
than a
set the
cup of
clocks
tea
back
and to sit with a
anywhere
book in the
from
lounge and, well,
30 to 40 minutes
wow.
each night. So by the time you got to New York, the time would actually be accurate. There's a whole section in this book dedicated to the way that the timing works, and then on the eastbound crossing, you keep setting the clocks back and out, like 20 to 30 to 40 minutes forward. Yeah, if you look at the opposite side, you can see the cabin of Thomas Andrews, where he stayed.
I see Tommy Andrews is already on board. Why does this surprise me? His drawings are scattered about like toys in a nursery. Well, I shouldn't intrude here any longer.
He's a drunk.
Not really. I mean, he was a very, very hard. I mean, for a guy in his mid-30s, and yeah, he was also head of the Guarantee Group, and you can actually get a glimpse of the A-deck promenade through there. Yeah, and that's the first class lounge, the revolving door.
I wonder if Andrews smuggled a monkey on board because I saw a banana.
For some reason, there's a random banana. I literally have no idea.
Sup, Logan?
Yeah, but Thomas Andrews, he was head of the Guarantee Group. That was a group of 9 people on the ship at the time, and they were mainly made up of, like, for instance, carpenters and stuff like that. And what they were basically, they traveled on the ship on the maiden voyage and basically inspected stuff the whole way through to make sure that everything was running smooth, and then make notes of stuff that they can improve on when they take it back to Belfast for renovations or repairs or something like that. And actually, if you go back to the CAF, there is a picture of. I know for a fact that there is a picture of one of the devs there.
Yeah, I saw his photo. It was a young dude.
Yeah, Tom Linsky. He's sort of the leading the charge. I mean, they're all co-producers of the game. I mean, that's the way that they say it. But kind of, Tom Linsky's like the face of Titanic: Honor and Glory because he shows up in just about every single YouTube video. I mean, their YouTube channel has quite a few videos on it. They usually upload a video once a week, though they went on a stint, like a big stint. Like there was probably 5 videos in the span of a week because they were covering a bunch of videos on the SS Atlantic, which was the first wreck, like White Star disaster, because Titanic was their worst, but it wasn't their first. Because like in 1873, it was like the first time that White Star had like a commercial disaster, like where the ship sank and over half of the people perished.
That doesn't sound good for business.
Yeah, not to mention, there, out of all of the women and children, only 1 child survived.
So what happened to putting women and children on lifeboats first?
Well, they were actually up against the currents and stuff because they actually ran aground in Nova Scotia. They hit some rocks and whatnot, and the currents were pulling them in. They tried to load the lifeboats, and as soon as they lowered them, the waves smashed them against the hull of the ship, and they broke instantly. And then everybody on board was just swept away with the tide.
Fuck.
It's brutal. I mean, at least with Titanic, it went down, I mean, fairly slowly at the beginning. You had a chance, but here you had almost no chance.
Soon this area will be bustling with passengers.
Like, people were clinging to
anxiously
the
sending telegrams and complaining about the most.
Yeah,
trivial
yeah.
matters.
Actually, you're
I
right. Yes,
consider
the
it a
Atlantic did
blessing that I will
capsize,
not be around
but
to
before they
witness that.
tried to launch the boats, before it actually listed too much to the point where it didn't, where they couldn't do it anymore. I mean, eventually it listed 30 degrees to port, and at that point, it's just you can't do anything about that.
Oh, we went through this way.
Yeah, Logan's right. The Britannic did sink in 55 minutes compared to the 2 hours and 40 minutes of Titanic. Now, there's a few factors. For one thing, when it struck the mine, it actually caused a few of the watertight doors, mainly the watertight doors between boiler rooms 5 and 6, to become warped in their tracks, so they couldn't close properly. Not to mention, what accelerated the sinking was the nurses decided to open up just about all the portholes on E deck in the sick bay to air it out. The captain had almost no knowledge of this, so when he started to make for land because he was going to try and run it aground off of the because they were a few miles offshore of the island of Kea at the time. So he attempted to run it aground.
And he basically just got water in as a result.
Yeah, it ended up accelerating the sinking because eventually the water just came through the portholes, and at that point you're screwed.
Mikan was in on it.
And there was only about 30 casualties because a group of people decided to launch their lifeboats too early while the propellers were still turning. They got sucked into the suction of the propellers, and yeah.
They took the expressway out.
Essentially, yes. If they just stayed on, they probably would have been fine. And then there would have been no casualties.
Yeah, but it's like the same thing when there's like a boat or a airplane that lands in water and they basically like don't activate your life vest yet, and people start panicking and activating. Essentially, they can't get out because you have to go through the door. But when the water comes in, you're basically going to be pulled up to the roof, and you won't be able to swim down because you've got the life vest. So essentially, you're just going to drown inside the plane. People panic and make stupid decisions all the time. It's essentially one way to fuck yourself in that sort of situation. Wait, so is this all we can see so far?
Yeah, that's about it. Yes, I can see that, Logan. Also, one of the other factors, like another notable shipwreck of the time, is the Lusitania. It's believed that most of the watertight doors in the Lusitania didn't actually close because there was coal stuck in the tracks. So it didn't close properly, and that's why the ship sank in 17 minutes. And here's the thing. So Titanic is 882 feet long. Lusitania was like just over 700 feet. So that's still well over 3/4 the length of Titanic. A ship that big went down in 17 minutes.
Yeah, human error is a bitch.
Well, that one wasn't even their fault because it was torpedoed.
Oh. By who? Is he Germans?
Yes, World War I. It's kind of an interesting story. It was actually still a merchant ship at the time. It was carrying passengers
so the Germans
from
thought
New
it was
York
a military ship, or?
to Liverpool. Well, here's the thing. Now, this wasn't very smart on Cunard's part, but they actually loaded ammunition and whatnot in the forward cargo holds, and there was actually German spies on the dock in New York. So they informed them, and they decided to torpedo it, and they said that it was an act of, it was. How do I say this? Like, they said that they didn't sink a merchant ship because it was carrying ammunition and whatnot.
Or they didn't sink it, or they sunk it because.
Well, that was their logic. Even though, I mean, it was still carrying passengers, it was still in passenger service because it was carrying those munitions. It was justified.
Yeah, it was carrying munitions. It's like saying, oh, don't bomb a hospital ship. Well, why does your hospital ship have a nuclear reactor and ICBM? At what point does it stop being a merchant or hospital ship and starts being a warship?
Well, they weren't armed with guns. Like, it wasn't like the troop transports where they actually armed them with guns visible on deck and whatnot. No, I mean, they were just stored. It was just ammo and stuff stored in the cargo hold. They were just transporting it to the UK so they could supply the British troops.
No, I can sort of see that logic.
And, of course, talking about the Empress of Ireland, that was another interesting one. That actually that happened in 1914, and it's basically sandwiched between two of the most well-known shipwrecks, the Titanic and the Lusitania, so a lot of people forgot about them. I don't think it's going to let you back out. That's kind of weird. Usually, if you wanted to go exploring outside, I think you'd have to reboot it. That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get some nice shots and whatnot. And this is only 6% of the floor space of Titanic. They've said this demo only covers 6% of it.
Pretty big.
But keep in mind that these... I'm trying to figure out how I can word this. 1 second.
Well, a lot of it's going to be the outside.
Well, yeah. So it's the outside. You're seeing pretty much all the first class spaces. Of course, what you're missing is I wish you could go into the smoking room. You've got the palm court and the veranda calves on the stern. You have the first class lounge where you can't see the gymnasium, and that's pretty much it for first class spaces. I wish you could see some of the second class spaces, like the second class library, smoking room, but they can't throw all their eggs into one basket. They got to keep some of it a mystery.
Once you check into the Titanic, you'll never check out. Yeah, it won't let you up. Well, it won't let you through. We're just on the other side of here. Yeah, we can't go any further.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... Yeah, ironically, all those ships mentioned were explored by Robert Bell. Also discovered the wreck of the Bismarck. Yep, Bismarck. And the Yorktown. I remember I read a funny little fact thing about Yorktown, because Yorktown was a carrier, a United States aircraft carrier in World War II, and the Japanese allegedly sank it initially, and so what happened was it actually didn't sink. It just needed some repairs. So when it showed up to the next battle, they were just like, whoa, what the heck? It's like a ghost. It's back from the dead.
Yeah, the Japanese are very superstitious. Like, this American officer was going to be executed by being beheaded, and he basically saved his life by telling the executioner that when he strikes him down, he's going to haunt him for the rest of his life. And the guy just backed off. They're very superstitious. Yeah, I learned a fair bit too. History's an interesting... Ooh, what's this? Ah, recesses for coats and hats.
that's one of those areas that they kind of had to build from scratch because they didn't really know, because there's no pictures. The deck plans don't help you much. I mean, there's actually an interesting video on their channel where they talk about, well, what do you do when you have an area on Titanic that has zero physical evidence, whether it be photographs, accounts, or stuff? Well, how do you tackle stuff like that? Well, the first object is look at the auction list for Olympic, because Olympic, before she was dismantled, all of her interiors were pretty much sold off. A lot of them you could still see nowadays. Like for instance, there are a few houses in Ireland that have the entirety of Olympic's first class lounge. Like all the wood paneling in that. I mean, it's nice. I mean, at least it was preserved. I wish they kept the whole ship as a museum, especially after what happened to Titanic, but it was the Depression. They kind of had to do something. I mean, they had to get as much as they could out of the ship. Not to mention, she was irrelevant because by the time they retired her, Queen Mary was about a year away from her main voyage, and she was pretty much the flagship of the White Star Cunard line. I mean, she was better and bigger and better in every way. I'm really happy that they decided to not do the same thing and send her to the breakers. They actually put her. She's actually sitting up in. She's laid up in Long Beach, California.
What, like a ship's just sitting there?
Yeah, the ship is there. I mean, it has not moved in over 50 years, and it's used as a hotel/museum. You can actually stay on board the Queen Mary.
Oh, so it's on land, or is it on the water?
No, it's still on the water, but it's disconnected from the harbor. It's sort of got its own little alcove, and not to mention, these engines haven't run in 50 years, so I guarantee that there's only one propeller. There's only one surviving propeller left.
Yeah, they'd be fucked. You wouldn't be able to move that ship. It's like when they have airplane museums, you can essentially land them on the runways, but those planes aren't going back up. It's like, they can't. They're basically fucked.
Or like the aircraft carriers, like for instance, another ship laid up in California is the USS Hornet that you can tour.
Really?
Yeah, that's again, that's part of the I can't remember what class of ship it is, but it's the same class as the Yorktown. But Queen Mary is on my bucket list. I want to visit. If I visit California, I want to visit the Queen Mary.
That's definitely something you would do.
I mean, there's so much history there, and well, now, granted, a lot of it has changed. Like, for instance, putting carpeting in the hallways and stuff. I mean, when it was in service, it didn't exist, but it was one of the things that was required for a hotel. But a lot of the interiors are still intact and whatnot, and it's like a piece of history, just forever preserved. Well, apparently they're going to be opening up the wreck site to the public, because for the longest time it was maintained by a private organization. But at the same time, that opens up a whole new door, because now you got to set up rules on taking artifacts and whatnot and selling them off. And I guarantee in the next 100 years, it's so rusted, it's so, I mean, it's basically, eventually, Titanic's just gonna collapse on the ocean floor, because the rust will eventually just cause the entire structure to fail, and it's just gonna collapse one day, and and it won't be there anymore. I mean, the breakup and the impact really didn't do it any wonders. I mean, the stern of the ship looks like a freaking bomb site. You got all of this debris and crap along the outskirts, like a bomb went off on it. You don't even have the grand staircase anymore. Both of the grand staircases aren't
that's
there
wood.
anymore.
That would have.
Well, here's the thing, right? It wasn't that it wasn't there on the wreck. In fact, it literally floated out through the glass dome, got caught up in the currents, and I assume eventually just sank. There's reports that people literally saw the grand staircase float out of the glass dome that it just broke.
So it was just like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wouldn't it be funny, like somewhere on the beach, it's like, Mommy, there's a staircase. You just have like this old couple basically drag it home. You just have this old man that's using the grand staircase in his house. That would just be funny.
Oh yeah, the wheelhouse is pretty much gone as well. The the front wall is gone. I mean, I believe the helm is actually still there. Yeah, and so if you're in boiler room 6, if actually, like, behind you is one of the areas damage actually came through. Well, near the bottom, it's about 2 feet from the, 2 feet above the stoke plate.
I get a feeling you'll like MGS too, because the first chapter is on a tanker. It's not as high quality as this, but, you know, you get some fun.
No, but I'm really curious what they do with it. Apparently they are working on, well, of course, finishing the ship. They are working on putting together a private demo specifically for investors. One of the big things that they're going to be pushing is NPCs, and apparently they're going to introduce a new system for interacting with them and whatnot, because there are going to be, this is going to be a full-fledged story there.
And someone just shot Ecto.
Hmm?
It sounded like a gunshot and you stopped talking, so I was just like, and someone shot Ecto.
Oh. And yeah, Logan's right. The developers of real-time syncing for the SS Atlantic, the Britannic, and the Titanic. I believe I've actually linked Titanic and Britannic. I'm not saying watch them or anything like that, but they are really neat to watch because they have all of these accurate timestamps for certain events and whatnot. The Britannic one's a lot more high quality because they have voice acting for the witnesses, you know, the survivor accounts and whatnot.
I think like a series like, I don't know if you've seen it, but 0 Hour, they usually look at catastrophes and terror attacks and school shootings, and they do like a real-time sort of documentary of what would have happened. Like that would be cool for syncing, because you would have like the real-time timer and then voiceovers, and then you have actors showing what would have happened.
I feel like there needs to be more of them. I mean, they did, the devs have said that they're going to probably eventually do more real-time syncings in the future. They just really wanted to do Atlantic because Atlantic is incredibly forgotten. Probably because it got overshadowed by Titanic. I mean, for the longest time, it was the worst maritime disaster in history.
Yeah, but Titanic is like the younger, prettier sister. Everyone forgets about the older one.
Yeah, I mean, that was 1873, so that was 145. Believe it or not, it was actually on this day in the demo, April 1st. April 1st, 1873. And of course, there's the one that, the actual official, well, I guess you could say non-officials, because nobody knows, like, nobody seems to know about it. There's the Wilhelm Gustloff, which is, in terms of, you know, deaths is actually the worst maritime disaster in history.
Hmm.
Because the Gustloff was essentially a German cruise ship. It started with over 9 to 10,000 deaths. It's it started as a German cruise ship. It was part of their work program of rewarding hardworking Germans and allowing them to go on cruises in the Baltic and stuff. And the thing is, you couldn't pay for passage for this. You had to be hand selected by a group of people to board the ship and get your ticket and whatnot. Well, then, as the war began to draw to a close in January, of course, the Russians were starting to close in on Prussia, so everybody was looking for an easy way out. And once the war began, it was actually used as a barracks for the submarine crews. So they started piling onto the ship, piling refugees on, and it was supposed to be only about 6,000 registered, but then it's like estimated that there was an additional 4,000 people added on. So there was potentially 10,000 people on this ship.
Man, it's a lot of people to die on a shipwreck, and it's not a slow death either. It's like drowning.
Yeah, it was actually torpedoed 3 times by a Russian sub on, I believe it was January 26, 1945.
Wouldn't that be during the war?
Well, yes, it was, but the thing is, aside from the submarine crew on there, it was all German civilians, refugees, essentially.
Yeah, you forget the Soviet Union.
And because we won the war, it wasn't seen as a war crime because they justified it. Well, they had the Kriegsmarine on there, and just like, well, that counts as justification for literally killing 8,000 plus civilians.
Yeah, I don't think Stalin had an issue with killing civilians. He killed 40 million Russian civilians. He gave 0 fucks.
Not to mention, it took a while. It's commonly believed that the Soviets actually tampered with the wreck because after it sank, after the war ended, they actually went in there, and for about 10 years, the Polish weren't allowed to dive the wreck at all. So it's believed that they tampered with the wreck in some way, shape, or form, because you can see evidence of blowtorches and stuff being used. So we don't even know if it's accurate or not. We're just going off of what the survivor accounts say and whatnot, which is minimum because it was the middle of the night. The water was colder than what it was on the Titanic, and that was -2 Celsius.
Yeah, well, maybe they were looking for Nazi gold.
Yeah, that's also one of the reasons why they sealed it off, because they wanted to get the Amber Room back.
What's an Amber Room?
The Amber Room was actually in the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. It was made entirely out of amber and gold, and it was regarded as the 8th wonder of the world. Well, then, once St. Petersburg fell to the Nazis, they took the entire room, boxed it up, threw it on a train, and the last time it was heard of was in Königsberg, Germany, and it was thrown in a castle. It was actually up on display. There was pictures and stuff of this room being on display. Well, then, eventually, the Allied bombers blew the living hell out of the castle that it was displayed in, and it was believed it was lost.
What in the fuck is this?
That's the Amber Room, or at least a depiction of what it was.
Really? It would just fucking do this shit? Amber and gold? The Russian writing.
I can't remember exactly who commissioned this to be built. I want to say it was Catherine, but I might be wrong.
Where is room? Mino Amber room. Go inside, search for Nazi looted eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah, people have been searching for this thing for the longest time. There's tons of leads. There's some people that said that it was, I mean, like the Russians thought that it was put on a ship, something similar to maybe the Wilhelm Gustloff, or maybe something else. Oh, there's other people that say that it was put on a train and it was literally hidden away in a mountain and we still haven't found it yet. There's
I
all kinds of theories.
like to look at the stream.
I'm looking. What the?
Weed, man. Lots of weed. Lots of weed. Oh, they were crazy rich when they built the room. Yeah, now they're fucked. Alright, well, I don't think we can see any more of the ship. That's kind of it. Thanks for the history lesson.
Yeah, I mean, yep. It was fun. Like I said, there is some more to see if you go ahead and decide to just break the game with VR. I mean, just be careful how you teleport, because you might end up inside a wall.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't have VR yet. I would have to actually buy VR.
Maybe by then the game will be out.
Maybe.
I mean, all I have to say is this game is going to be nothing but spectacular, because what you're looking at is an empty shell of a ship. There's no people, but this is going to be populated with people, and everything is going to be accurate down to a T, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the quality so far. It's like fucking hell. Like, I believe it, man. Like, they put a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, and well, right now they're looking for funding status, so that way, because right now they are, besides contributions, they're literally paying for this whole game out of their own pockets.
Yeah, there's a lot of man hour to make all the assets and then put them in place, and like, it's just,
especially since you can't really use assets that already exist, because
yeah,
it's a unique niche that you can't. I mean, I know that there's going to be people that are going to attempt to steal the assets from this game. There was already flack that there was a game company that created Titanic VR, which was essentially a VR dive of the wreck, and there was all sorts of legal trouble. Basically, there was a court case about whether or not they actually illegally stole assets from Titanic Honor and Glory to build the game.
yeah.
I can't remember what the outcome of it was, but it was a few months back.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. With assets of this quality, it just wouldn't surprise me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me, you know? So, yeah. It's gonna be an interesting, like, this wouldn't be cheap to make. There's like hundreds of thousands of hours of man-power. Yeah, this isn't a small
Yeah, and
cookie.
once they receive that AAA status, they're going to get a bigger team, but they are somewhat worried, because they are worried that once they get AAA status, they may, have to meet deadlines and stuff like that, and they don't want to compromise the work. So essentially, they're in no hurry to get funded. They just want to get the ship done. At least if the ship is done, then they have something to be proud of. If they're forced to half-ass everything else, at least the ship will look good.
Yeah, because then you've got the ship done. You can always upgrade the other things through a patch. Whereas if you fuck up the ship, you're not done yet. And Hutchin's like, when's my... Oh, wait, why is she wearing earrings? Hutchin's like doing her Instagram posting and stuff, and she's making herself look cute.
Hi, Hachan.
They're saying hi to you, Hutchin. No, that's not our Matt, Hutchin. They can't see you, gotta put your head here.
Hello.
We're playing Titanic.
Oh, that's
We're
nice, I
exploring
know that.
Titanic. If you want, you can play the
that's
demo.
nice. I'd
Yeah,
love
it's like
to.
parts of the ship. You can see what it was like in
I
first class.
watched him.
Yeah, but you can see how the first class was, second class, third class.
Nice.
They're tickling me right now. So yeah. Oh, you can play this if you want. Hector can probably teach you about it. And Cheeky's like, can I play? I don't think dogs were allowed on the Titanic, Cheeky.
Actually, they were.
Dogs were allowed on the Titanic? What the fuck?
Yes, there was
Oh my
I mean,
god,
they
all the
were-
poor animals. I feel sorry for the animals. The humans, not so much, but the
Actually,
animals.
no. There was a. It was John Jacob Astor before his untimely death. It is believed that he actually opened up all the kennels and let all the dogs free.
Should-
Yeah, he let all the dogs free, but where were they gonna go? The ocean would have been freezing.
should-
Yeah, one lone Pomeranian survived.
One Pomeranian survived? That makes me happy. Hachan, on the Titanic there were a lot of dogs, but only one Pomeranian survived.
Oh,
I know, it could have been Cheeky's like great-great-great-grandfather.
Jeez, great grand.
Cheeky, the last survivor, Resident Evil style. Could you imagine like playing the version of the Pomeranian escaping the Titanic? Imagine that, like you
Through
just
the
lower,
eyes of
you
a
lower the
Pomeranian.
camera all the way down, and you're like, you're the Pomeranian, you gotta get out of this ship.
Oh my god, that ship would be massive then. If it's already massive, just imagine if you were literally a Pomeranian.
Yeah. Oh, 3 dogs. Only 3 dogs survived this ship. I feel sorry for the dogs. Cheeky just loves attention. She doesn't even care why. She just wants the attention. She wants to be the center. She's a bitch, basically. Ah, Cheeky, don't do that, my balls. Ah, Cheeky, fucking slut. She gives 0 fucks. Cheeky's saying bye-bye. Cheeky's such a slut.
almost done.
Yep. Alright, so thank you for the tour, Ecto.
Yeah, no problem.
I hope
I
people
mean,
enjoyed it.
I could just briefly just discuss my main the thing is with the movie. The movie's fine as it is. For what it was, an ambitious project. I mean, recreating the sets and all of that. I really applaud them for that. And doing the sinking justice is what it was when it was fully. It was very accurate for the time. There's literally 3 or 4 scenes that really bug me in that movie. Now, you gotta keep in mind, this movie was made even though, yes, it was trying to pay tribute to all the people that perished on Titanic and the legacy and all that, it was made to fill the seats, so they had to add some dramatic elements.
You mean that
Yeah,
scene
they're
about
not
her
committing
drawing her
suicide.
naked in the basement was done to get people in the seats?
Well, not that, just compromising historical pieces of fact. Like, one of the most controversial ones is First Officer Murdoch committing suicide.
Is that the guy that shot himself? Or like what happened?
Yeah, in the movie, yes.
Did he
Kill
himself?
In fact, well, we don't. Yeah, I mean, we don't 100% know, but from what we've heard from the survivor accounts, of course, since he didn't survive, we didn't get his side of the story. He dutifully just worked. Yeah, I mean, he was just washed away by the upcoming tide. I mean, and then eventually just froze. The other issues I had was there was this one particular scene where you got Ismay and Captain Smith, and they're sitting in the reception room, I think, and Ismay's just like, well, it's like, it's like, we got the press marveling at Titanic's size, but let's let them have marvel at their speed. If we could arrive in New York a day early, if we could arrive on Tuesday, like, it would, we would literally make the page or whatever. And there's a few issues with this because Smith gives in almost immediately. And for one thing, Smith was a very experienced captain. He was a captain with well over 40 years of experience. Yeah, they portray Ismay as a villain, and I did not like that. So Smith just breaks down and speeds up in the movie, when in reality he literally had nothing to lose, because that joke of it's just like he was only 2 days from retirement. Well, guess what? He was literally a few days from the retirement. The main voyage was supposed to be his last voyage, and then he would go into retirement.
Yeah, he got fucked.
But that's not how it happened.
Hachan's taking selfie with Neko ears. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, that should not have been how it happened. Also, the whole thing about the boilers being lit, there's no proof that all Titanic's boilers were lit during the Atlantic crossing. If they were lit at one point, it may have been between the journey between Belfast and Southampton, just to max out her speed. Apparently, she capped out at 23.25 knots. But those are my three main issues. The one that bugs me the most is Murdoch's suicide. In fact, James Cameron got so much flack over it, he had to go to Murdoch's hometown and apologize to them personally.
You want to see her in Neko ears? She'll post it on her Instagram. Just look for Hachan on Instagram. I think she has the link on her YouTube videos.
Well,
it's kind of interesting.
Right, well,
like, I like they have these little cherubs, and it's actually pretty funny because everyone thinks it's those little, like, Valentine's Day baby angels that spread love. But what they forget is that, like, cherubs, which are these little angels, are essentially more powerful than archangels. There's basically like a dozen of them that actually protect the throne of God, and they essentially incinerate anything that goes there. So basically, even if an archangel went there, they would just incinerate it. So these little fucking cherubs are basically destroyers. Like, their job is literally incinerate anything. And they look like these little ones. I don't know if many people get that.
Yeah, Titanic, A Night to Remember is... I actually enjoyed one a lot in terms of accuracy. Of course, it was 58, so they didn't know that the ship had broken half. The wreck wasn't discovered yet, so that was the only big thing that kind of bugged me. Also, the Californian. It actually mentions the Californian, which was the ship that sat by and watched and did nothing, according to the press, which may be somewhat true, but there may have actually been a lot more confusion there than they were led to believe. Yeah, about 10 miles away.
I love that. It's like, that means God is destructible. It's like, well, where does it say that he's not destructible? Interesting times. On what floor do you think in Zero Escape everyone got stabbed? What was the thing?
If I had to guess, it would probably be the A deck landing.
A-deck.
That's the one you can't go to, unfortunately.
Fuck, I can't compare it. Because I know they got stabbed on one of them.
Well, keep in mind that Britannic's interiors, well, Gigantic's interiors were super heavily altered after the disaster, because Olympic went in the winter of 1912 for her refit, where they put the lifeboats in and they actually reinforced the bulkheads all the way up to, I believe, C deck. The watertight bulkheads, I mean. And a bunch of other things they did. And then Britannic, because by the time Titanic sank, she was just a keel on the ground. Yeah, she was just a keel on the ground, which means you could just build her from the ground up with all of these safety precautions in mind.
Religion is an interesting topic.
Yeah, it really is.
Alright, well, this was a very fun exploration of the parts of the Titanic we could see, but I would very much like to see the deck. That would be fun. But unfortunately we can't. Because reasons. Maybe in the 4th demo.
They said this is the last one, but I don't really trust that. I feel like they'll come out with another one eventually.
Yeah, it's probably the last one for now.
It's for now. I mean, this demo came out well over a year ago, so... But the thing is, they haven't been making a lot of progress. It's more of just been reworking, because it can take months just to do a single room. Because the amount of research that needs to go into, not to mention getting a rough diagram of it, putting it into the engine and all that. They actually have a progress plan on their website.
Yeah, it would just take forever doing each individual room. It's just like, fuck. I'd be one of those people that'd be like, let's get the outside first and then start building inward, you know? Because having individual rooms is cool, but it's just draining so much time.
Yeah, if you go to their website, titanichd.com, and go on the updates tab, they actually do have a progress plan. Last time it was updated was September, I think.
What's it called?
It's titanichd.com. Oh, they updated it for November? Well, that's nice.
Oh, HG, you mean?
Yes, the technicality with the H. It's near the top. It says update.
Oh, this one. The blue in engine. Green equals modeled. Red equals in construction. Grey not began. Yeah. There's like sections of them. Yeah, I'm one of those people that would always do like the outside, because then at the very least you can impress people with the outside of the ship. But then
Well, the outside's pretty much done.
Yeah, most of it's done, yeah. There's just a few sections. I reckon everyone's just gonna want to go to the front and be like, look at me, I'm king of the world.
And you can see off to the left, that is their real-time sinking of the SS Atlantic. Yeah, that's their video for it.
We're gonna get hit with a copyright strike. Oh wow, it had sails.
Yes, it was 1873. They didn't really...
It's going down! It's going down! Ah, it's gonna capsize! It's going! It's going! It's gonna go! It's gonna go? Well, I would have thought it just flipped by now.
No, it's slowly but surely, eventually.
The ship is now
Totally
dead in the water.
capsizes.
The fuck was that? It's like, this is the worst disaster ever, and the Titanic's like, hold my beer. I think it's Christianity. I wouldn't say Catholicism has like dibs on cherubs, because it's also in Orthodox Christianity, and that's where Catholicism is derived from. The difference between Catholicism and Orthodox Christianity is that Catholics believe that Saint Peter basically became the Pope from when Jesus says, "Upon you I built my church," and Catholics interpret that as saying, "Upon you, Peter, I built my church," saying Peter is the first Pope, being the representative of God on earth. But Orthodox Christians say that doesn't make sense, because he meant upon humanity I build my church, because the position of Pope in the rank of the church is God's representative on earth, but that doesn't make sense considering Jesus himself was a high priest. So essentially what you have is a human being having a rank higher than that of Jesus, who you believe is the Son of God. And it also doesn't make sense because when you become Pope, you're basically infallible. And that doesn't make sense because humans cannot be infallible. It basically means humans cannot sin. That doesn't fucking make sense. Because Jesus spent 40 days in the desert being tempted by the devil. So if Jesus, the Son of God, can be tempted by the devil because he's half human, how can a human then be infallible, meaning he cannot sin? Like, that doesn't fucking make sense. That's the difference. And that's the logic behind it. Valentine's Day is now Incinerator Day. So, like, that's where, like, the whole religion thing. And then you have other religions, like, one of the kings in England formed his own religion because he wanted to get divorced from his wife because he couldn't have sons. And that became, I don't know which part of Christianity, but that was, like, one of the segments. So, like, it just starts branching off,
Anglican.
right? Yeah. So it's like the main religion, which is Orthodox, which is unchanged. That's what it means. It's the
That
Orthodox.
was actually Henry VIII, I believe.
Yeah, so it's like basically the
The one
base
that
religion.
we were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, so basically the religion unchanged is Orthodox. Like, it's the same. It hasn't been touched. And then you've got Catholicism, which was the first one to branch out. And then you have all the other ones that continued branching out. And it's like, why the fuck are you changing the religion? Like, why? One king's like, oh, fuck it, I want to get divorced, so I change it for convenience. And it's like, oh, well, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you can boil down, like, because people get one major thing wrong about Christianity. Essentially, everything that happened in the Old Testament no longer applies because you essentially have Jesus that fulfilled the prophecy of the Old Testament. And once he fulfilled the prophecy of the Old Testament, essentially the rules he sets down are the new rules. And he made them very simple. Pretty much treat others how you wish to be treated and love each other. So it's basically like, don't be a cunt, essentially. It's treat others properly and love each other. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, that was the whole thing. It just boils down. You don't need any of those 10 commandments or any shit like that. It's simple. Treat others properly and love each other. That's it. It doesn't say shit about you've got these 10 rules that can be misinterpreted. It clearly states treat people properly. Like, so simple. And you can't really argue with that logic.
The quote Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Well, yeah, like Jesus didn't start shit with nobody, right? He was just like, guys, be chill. Like, basically that was his whole thing. Like, everyone, chill the fuck out.
I think the only figure that actually tried to change the religion and break away for not his own personal gain was probably Luther. He believed that what the Catholic Church were telling the people was an absolute lie. That's why he actually went ahead and when he went into hiding, he actually translated the entire Bible into German so the common people could read it themselves.
And a lot is lost in translation because it was translated several times. I love how they don't realize that the one true God is a tuner.
Yes. True God is the tuna.
It's kind of interesting because sometimes, like, what was it? Something about the fish of life is actually Pisces and all this other shit. Like, you can go into the whole astrological thing and how a lot of faith is derived from astrology, because before Christianity even existed, you already had the whole 12 disciples, resurrection, crucifixion thing existing. And that's based on the constellations, because in winter, the sun essentially goes up, stays there for 3 days, then comes back down, which is basically the crucifixion for 3 days and then coming up after 3 days. And then you've got the whole 12 disciples, which might not necessarily mean 12 people. It can mean the months, which is where you're getting, like, religion can be interpreted so much. There's so many deities that existed prior to Jesus Christ that follow the pattern of 12 disciples, crucifixion, resurrection, miracles, and all that. And ironically enough, like, one of them is, say, for example, Mithra from ancient Greece. You know how crazy Greeks are about Christianity? Well, they had Mithra back in the day that had the same prophecy. So it's like how well do you know your religion? Like, I discuss this with priests all the time. They're just basically like, what the fuck? I'll just stick to not being a total cunt. Well, basically, like, I boil down religion to that. Don't be a cunt. Like, it's so simple. Just don't be a cunt to people. If everyone just made sure they did that, the world would be fine. Like, it's such a simple rule. Don't be a cunt. Jesus comes back down. How we're doing? He's like, he gets mad. He's like, guys, you had one fucking job. Well, South Park, like, did it best. They basically go to Satan and they ask Satan for help. And he's like, where the fuck would I help you? And Eric's like, look, if you haven't noticed, we've kind of been doing things your way. Like, we've been doing your job for you. You owe us. And Satan's like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, basically. Hachan's grandmother was Buddhist. So that's what she was raised to believe in, but she doesn't really believe in it. Though she probably believes in karma and things like that, but she wouldn't believe in anything like reincarnation. Though, funnily enough, through the things that I've heard and the things that I know, I do think that transmigration is possible. It's not reincarnation, but transmigration is essentially consciousness or bits of consciousness being transferred from A to B. Because there are cases of children being born with, say, for example, birthmarks, where people in their past life, that was their essential mortal wound. And there's basically kids that are born knowing the location of crash sites and bodies and things like that of people that died. So, for example, you've got this girl that essentially, what was the name of the Jewish girl in Germany that was, like, hiding from the Nazis? Basically, there was a girl
Anne
born...
Frank?
Yeah, Anne Frank. There was basically this little girl that when she visited Germany, she was like, wait, I know where we are. And she basically took her parents to Anne Frank's house, and she'd never been to Germany before. And she basically took them up and says, like, oh, this is where I was. Like, this little fucking girl. And there was this, like, there was this fighter pilot, I think a British fighter pilot, that essentially parachuted out, but the parachute didn't activate, and his body was essentially lost. And this kid basically knew the location of the body. And it's like, oh, that's where I was shot down. And this other kid, and there's another story of this kid in a village that's essentially born with, like, a birthmark over here. And he basically grows up and is like 19 years old, and basically he sees this guy in the village and is like, you killed me, you hit me here with, like, a pickaxe or some shit like that. And the guy just breaks down crying and admits it. That's like creepy shit like that. Plus, I've seen some pretty creepy shit in my own time, but, like, you know, like, I've seen a guy that can actually talk to snakes. I told you guys that story. So when you see shit like that, you're kind of like, That doesn't make sense. That should not be possible. But you're like, okay, maybe the world is not as black as white as I think. So, you know.
I feel like we could go down this rabbit hole. Like, I mean, I feel like this could eventually just lead to conversation about the supernatural, if you even believe that stuff.
Well, what we consider the supernatural is essentially what we cannot explain. I mean, people a long time ago would look into the stars and comets and think like, oh my god, you know, hell on earth is coming. But what's to say that things like the multiverse theory and, you know, reality being layered and the fourth dimension and things like that aren't real? Like, we don't have the technology for it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You can easily say that science disproves a lot of religion, but at the same time you could say that science in a way does prove it. Because if multiverse and dimensions do exist, it's very possible for a fourth dimensional being to do some of the shit that we say happened. It's like, you know, like God, who knows what it is? Who the fuck knows? Maybe there's a version of me out there that's a chick with big boobs. Like, you never know. You never fucking know.
Yeah, there was a YouTuber by the name of Critical. I post his videos a lot. He's pretty funny. But he talked about this one time when he met this chick at a bar, and they just started talking up, and then what happened was then she started talking about how apparently she was like a 40-year-old pilot in Vietnam or some crap like that, and she was telling all these war stories like she was actually there.
How hot was this chick?
I can't exactly remember. I mean, he did a little anime, so it's kind of misleading. But I mean, she was pretty good looking. That's what he said.
It was Charlie everywhere.
God, don't get me started on Charlie. The word of the street is like there's a guy named Charlie that haunts our work. No, I kid you not. Like, there has been stuff that should not have, like, for instance, radiators and mufflers and that have almost fallen on people, and there's literally no reason for them to fall down. It was like they were deliberately pushed.
From where?
Well, from up above. Like, the radiators are all the way on the shelf in the woods, and somebody actually narrowly missed getting hit in the head with a radiator as it dropped.
Huh. It's like saying aliens don't exist. It's like, space is so vast, man, we can't even see shit. And let's not forget that we're not the only galaxy and solar system in the universe. Like, to think that we're the only life form on a planet? It's like, there could be other life forms, they don't have to be intelligent, but there could be other life forms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting. Alright, let's wrap it up before we go down the rabbit hole of what if scenarios that could last forever.
Let's save this for a group VC where we can talk about stuff like this.
Let's save this for a group VC where there's alcohol involved.
Yeah, why not?
That's usually how it happens. There's always booze involved. Somehow booze does that. The elixir of the gods. Or as they call it, the devil's brew.
I could tell you, yeah, I could tell you all about like the ghost stories that my family have told me. I've never experienced anything like that, but you know,
I've seen a fucking
they're my
ghost.
Family.
I've
They're
seen
my
a
family,
fucking ghost.
so I trust them.
I've seen
Yes.
a fucking ghost.
My sister has seen more than once. More than one ghost.
And I've pretty much felt the death of 2 people in my time. So, like, fuck, there's some creepy shit out there, I tell you that much.
Yeah, let's save that for another conversation, because I want to hear about this.
Hachim got freaked out, though. She's like, if I knew about that, I wouldn't have taken you to the suicide spot. And I'm like, it's actually quite calm here. It's almost like there's like no negativity or animosity here. And she's like, come here. And there's this payphone and there's like a stack of coins on it. I'm like, what's this? And it's like, oh, it's a payphone so people can call and say their goodbyes. And I'm like, isn't that counterproductive? You're letting people say their goodbyes instead of going home where they'll probably change their mind. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. If they've said their goodbyes, then they've got no reason for lingering on. Like, say, for example, when you jump, you think of so many things, and a lot of people would say jump to commit suicide and then realize, oh shit, I didn't do this. And then their spirits might linger. Whereas if they have closure, they just basically jump. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, Japan? It's...
No, yeah,
It's scary how calm the suicide spot is. It's too calm. It's fucking suspiciously calm. But anyway, that's a story for another day. That's a ghost story.
Yes, we can go around the fire metaphorically and share ghost stories. That would make for a fun.
See,
just even.
I would go to Japan and actually do a vlog of this shit, but I wouldn't go looking for dead bodies and laughing at it.
Well, absolutely not. No, I mean, the last thing you want to do is discuss to disgrace the dead or insult them. Because you never know if they're vengeful. I mean, there are vengeful entities out there. I mean, my family has experienced them. I've never personally experienced them. I was too young at the time, but both my mom and my sister know what they experienced, and it was horrendous.
Yeah, you do not fuck with pissed off old people. Cough, Logan Paul. So you're saying I should go to these places where there might be spirits, have a picture of Logan Paul, and try to get something that belonged to him so I could send the vengeful spirit his way? Interesting. It'd be pretty funny if it works. You just start seeing all this shit happening to Logan Paul, and you just make a laughing video at him like, I'm sinking more spirits on you. Next week, I'm going to Egypt. I hope you like cats. Could you imagine, like, getting sent to court for that? You sicked, like, this vengeful spirit on this person. I'm like, oh, Your Honor, you first gotta prove that this shit actually fucking exists, right? Good luck with that shit. But the man drowned. Yeah? While sleeping. Yeah? And there's no water. Yeah, so what? Explain that. No, you explain it. Burden of proof falls on you. It's like, his heart was missing. Yeah? But there's no incision mark. Yeah? Not my problem. I didn't break into an ancient pyramid and stick a pharaoh on him. That would just be funny. Alright guys, I'm gonna get out. I'll chat to you guys later. We could do a ghost story thing. It's probably best for like a Friday night or something. You watch a few creepypastas and then you share ghost stories. It's like fun shit we can do later on. It's like fun shit. We can do it, you know what I mean? But it's gotta be something we all do, otherwise it's just boring, You gotta have like marshmallows and, dim the lights, it's gotta be atmosphere. Alright guys, so I'll see you Saturday and Sunday. We've got 4 streams happening? Let me just double check what streams we have happening on the weekend. We've got a Zero Escape, and then we will also have a Kingdom Hearts. We've got a WoW chat, and we'll probably also have The Last Walking Dead for this game. So we've got like 4 live streams on the weekend. So I will catch you guys then. In the meantime, enjoy the reactions. Thank you, Ecto, for the history lesson on the Titanic, Britannic, gigantic, fuck, I missed the other ones. That's most of them now. So thanks for the history lesson. I hope you guys had fun. I learned something. I'll catch you guys on the weekend. Till then, Kuma out. Bye. You gonna say bye, Ecto?
See ya.
What?
Bye, guys. It was fun.
You gotta work on your outro, but we'll get to that. Bye, guys.